mathematics isn't really a subject in the way that it's often thought to be. Mathematics is a whole set of disciplines. It's a set of principles and concepts and processes and techniques. I mean, there is propositional information to learn about it. But to practice mathematics is to practice a discipline. It's a practical, applied, and also a set of theoretical principles. Music is like that. Music is a set of disciplines. So is history. History is not a subject except in the sense it's everything that's already happened. But historians have techniques and process and principles and approaches. So to study history is really to practice the discipline of history, not just to memorize facts. This idea of subjects has been solidified by professional identities and also the standardization movement, because it's easier for a standards movement to give people factual information to test them on. But it takes the vitality away from the discipline. So I would argue for disciplines, which also allows for interdisciplinary contact, because in a way, a lot of what we learn evolves through the interaction between different disciplines. In terms of which disciplines, we have to talk more about it, but I would want to give equal weight in any school I was involved in, and I think you should too, for my money, to the arts, the performing and the visual arts, the sciences, humanities, physical education, mathematics, and languages. I can think of no plausible reason why there should be a hierarchy among these disciplines. The arts contribute as much to our understanding of the world as ourselves, as do the sciences in different ways. They're very similar processes at work. We often operate on stereotyped conceptions of these disciplines. Science is a highly creative set of disciplines, properly conceived. The arts are deeply disciplined too. The humanities are the ways in which we engage with our understanding of each other's histories and values and so on. If you take those four things, the economic, the social, the cultural, the personal, you need that array of disciplines to fulfill those purposes. You just do. In terms of pedagogy, I'm sorry, to answer your question at the back, by the way, I would want all those disciplines to be present. Then the debate starts about what detailed content do you actually include, and we don't have time for that. Pedagogy to me is absolutely central to this, because the role of a teacher is to facilitate learning. That's the job. And teaching, I always say, is an art form. It's not a delivery system. All the great teachers I know were wonderfully expert at infusing you and igniting your imagination and setting you challenges. Great teachers are like great lawyers or great doctors. They may know a huge amount, but they know what's right here and now with this group today. So I would invest heavily in the professional development of teachers and pick great teachers. You know, there are some bad teachers out there. They're not bad people. They're just bad teachers. And I always say to them, do something else. You know, if you don't like kids, don't do this. You don't have to. You don't have to. You've only got one life too. You know, it's like having a veterinarian saying, yeah, it's okay, but I don't really like animals, you know. Or a chef, you know, saying, it's fine, but honestly, food, really, I can do without it. Don't do it. Hire great people to teach in your school and support them and encourage them and facilitate them. Assessment should be a descriptive process. I mean, if I can encapsulate this, assessment has two roles. It's both a description and a comparison. You know, if you were to say to somebody, they can run a mile in 4 minutes, that's not an assessment. That's just a description of what they can do. If you were to say to them, they're the best miler in the school, well, that's a comparison. And so that's an assessment, because you're comparing them to something. So an assessment implies both a description and a comparison. The problem with a lot of assessment systems, competitive ones, is they are very light on description and very heavy on comparison. So it's why I remember talking to a girl years ago in school, and I said, she just finished a music program. And I said, what did you get out of it? She said, I got a B. because it's heavy on comparison, but you don't know really what it means. So assessment really matters because it sets the tone. People work out what counts, and that's what they start to teach towards. So you want assessment systems which are descriptive as well as comparative, which are supportive as well as ones that report on what people have done. And the ambient culture, I think all school cultures should be different, like all families are different, like all restaurants are different. There's no reason why all schools should look the same. I think it's about creating a culture that works, but I do think the principle of collaboration, of joint responsibility, of democratic participation, they should be at the heart of every school. We should have schools that model the sort of world we want to live in. There's no point running classes on civics or on democratic processes if kids are sat in desks all the time being told what to do. The way kids learn is by living the thing we want them to become. And schools should model the life that we want them to lead and the communities that we want them to live in.
Thank you. If I take your metaphor about agriculture, I think that I learned from you that every one of us can be seed of a wonderful flower if he understands that it cannot be the only flower in the garden. And it exists a collaboration between the flower in the garden. So Ken, a lot of thank you. And it was so wonderful to be with you. And I hope, we say we have a Jewish bracha, bless, that we say next year in Jerusalem.